All right, Bridget, what's going on?
Hey, how are you doing today?
Doing really well. It's great to have you here. This is exciting. I always like talking to a video pro. And I'm going to ask you a whole ton of questions that is purely for selfish reasons. For selfish reasons? Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So why don't you get started and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're up to in the world?
Cool. So I'm Bridget, Aileen Sicsko. I'm a speaker. I'm a best-selling author. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, and I help women entrepreneurs do live video so they can sell more, so they can make a bigger impact, so they can feel confident AF. That's basically the short sentence of what we do.
Love that. And tell me, just tell me a little bit more about that video business.
Cool. Yeah. So we have a community right now called Rock the Mic Online, helping female entrepreneurs use live video to increase their visibility, increase their engagement, and make more sales on video. And one of the main reasons I found it so impactful is that I'm not the person who loves to do a million sales calls. I'm not really the writer. I'm the speaker. And I found that so many women were spending endless amount of time on the back end of writing content and spending a lot of time doing that. And I realized that we can do it in a quicker, more effective, more engaging, and in my opinion, way more fun way.
And how did you get, cool name for a business. I'm like, yes, count me in. That sounds awesome. How did you get started with that? Like, how did that come about?
So this came to me in meditation. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. I'm a very spiritual person, and my business really transitioned to helping women find their purpose, to helping entrepreneurs speak and use their voice. And I realized that video was one of the best mediums I could do. And this all really began on the personal level for me. I was dealing with Lyme disease as a kid, was not my own advocate. I couldn't really speak up for myself. And I had many situations in my life where I realized, oh shit, my life would really change if I just started being more direct, started communicating through spoken word and making an impact in that way. And I realized working with my more spiritual coaching clients that they all wanted to start businesses. They wanted to do it online, but they were scared to speak about what they wanted to do. Then we have in meditation, me sitting there, okay, what's the next step? Like, I'm feeling like there's something's got to change here. Rock the Mic Online. And here we are. This is in the newer phases of this business, and we're rocking it.
Cool. You said women finding their purpose. Can you say a little bit more about what it might look like if someone wasn't sure if they found their purpose?
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably the biggest question we all ask ourselves. What the heck am I here for? What am I doing? Am I in alignment with those things? And most of the women who came into my community and came into my network did not feel like they were in alignment. And for most of them, it's just this inner feeling of, this isn't it. Something's not in alignment here. Things are not flowing. I don't feel happy. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel successful beyond just monetary means. So the beginning of this work is really just all about finding out who you are, what you're meant to do. And I believe in using our voices as a tool and a vehicle for transformation. Because at the end of the day, our businesses are actually a vehicle for change. And when we as the business owner are standing up and speaking up about what it is that we do in the world and empowering people to do the same, like, we can create massive shifts. And that's what I'm here for.
Awesome. It seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, do you believe that every person on the planet has like an impact to make and some some ability to be fulfilled in that way, no matter who you are?
I do. And then I think that there's free will. So I believe we all have a destiny. We all have a reason that we came onto planet Earth. We signed up for this. But I also know that we're humans and we came here because we have free will. We get to choose what we want to do. And for some of us, that might look like us living out our purpose and our passions and doing the damn thing. And for some of us, it might not. And that's okay too. It's okay too. What about you?
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I think about it a lot because I read something the other day. I'm reading a book called Surrender. Okay. And it was talking about how everybody has a destiny. And it said that some people's just isn't like this massive whole thing. And I was like, at first I was like, hold on a second, because if I really want to achieve all my dreams, which are very lofty, and I'm always pushing and I'm putting out hundreds of pieces of content and I'm doing all this stuff and I have these massive goals, are you telling me that I just can't do it because that's my destiny, right? Like, oh, you're only destined to earn this amount of money, or like whatever. And then I was thinking about it more, and I think it's an interesting thought experiment. But maybe what I'm thinking now is, like, some people, like you said, wherever their will takes them, that's what they're destined to do. Like, maybe I would do better if I had another business, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, maybe I would make all this, but I've chosen this. I don't know. I think there's a difference between, like, when you feel like you're meant to do something, a lot of times people will choose something else that feels like a little bit safer. Or they don't want to disappoint their partner or something, so they choose something else, and that's great, and it's still great, but it might not be their ultimate this thing. I don't know. I think it's a big conversation.
I think you're onto something there. And one of my favorite Marianne Williamson quotes, I'm going to butcher it, but you probably heard of this. It's something along the lines of, it's not our darkness that we're afraid of, it's our light. And it's us really shining. And I think that's where video scares the crap out of people, because not only, we're all using the digital space to elevate our platforms, to share our messages. And it's not just us hiding behind a post and putting a pretty photo and then writing a really cool caption. It's us then being seen. It's us being heard. It's us really understanding our vibe. Like, you and I don't know each other, but it's like, we kind of know each other now. We're understanding more about one another. And I think this is where the fear for so many people comes in, of actually using their voice in an online way.
Yeah, I love that. I think, seen, heard, and felt is like, 3 words people use all the time for this type of stuff. And people, I think humans have this innate desire to be seen, heard, and felt. It's like our biggest thing that we could ever want, but we keep pushing it down because it's so scary. And you're right, video and audio and like thought leadership and all these things that we're doing online are all pushing us in that direction, but we hold ourselves back. I read this quote this morning. I'm also going to butcher it, but it was like, abundance is everywhere. We're always in a state of abundance of all of these things. It's always everywhere. That's what exists. All that we create, like, we can't create abundance because it's already everywhere. The only thing that we create is limitations. And yeah, right.
Damn.
Yeah. Quote was like a lot shorter than that, but you know what I mean? Like summarizing it. We only create limitations. And I think what we're talking about is like, oh, but what about if so-and-so doesn't like me? Oh, but what about I'm too fat right now to be on camera. Oh, but like, I have got a bad hair day or something like that, so I can't do it. Like, all of these things that we create, those are just our creations. That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And that's where I noticed that my background of the spiritual coaching and more of the empowerment work really fed into this live video work, because it's a lot of the same fears. It's the fears of being seen. It's the fears of rejection. And especially in the online space, this is not your brick and mortar where Polly from down the street, her and she comes into your store every single week. This is someone from across the world. If they say something about you, you can feel that. And it brings up that whole new level and layer of fear. And that's why we're working beyond it. I love that you say you have lofty dreams, because so do I. And I want people in my community to reach for the stars, because if you don't have that goal, you're never going to get there. We know that.
Yeah, exactly. Also, what you mentioned before, like more direct communication. That was a really interesting way of putting it. I think I know what you meant. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, this is something I noticed in my personal life and my personal relationships. The way when I talked to my husband, I would beat around all the bushes instead of just going straight for the cheese. I don't think that's the actual phrase.
It's a few metaphors in there. It's cool.
You know what I meant.
Yeah.
So with video, we need to captivate the audience. We need to give them a reason to want to listen to us. And we need to allow them and give them the transformation we need to give them, the information we need to give them, the advice, the resources that they need in a clear, concise, and direct way, which I've found many of us struggle with, myself included. So how can we use less words to be more direct and actually more impactful?
I love that. I really do. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I struggle a lot to figure out what I'm trying to say, and it takes me a few times longer than it feels like it should to get an idea across. And I don't know if it's like potentially it feels like over-explaining because I'm scared of being or misheard or misunderstood. Do you have any thoughts on why people do that and how they can stop doing that?
Yeah, I think it's ultimately a defense mechanism. I believe that we feel that by padding our conversations with more, we protect ourselves. When actually, most of us know this, if we're more direct in a relationship, in any kind of conversation, we're going to get what we want quicker. We're not going to waste as much time, and we'll probably feel better inside. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree with that. Certainly, I always feel, I mean, I guess if we're talking about different types of communication in different ways, for example, in person in a relationship, obviously saying things in a more direct way makes a ton of sense and not beating around the bush. But if you're on something like a live and you're trying to teach a particular point, it can take you a minute to teach it. But then, I mean, I know with me, I fluff it out for sometimes, 10 minutes just because I'm like, well, I've got to say it 26 times and I've got to give some explanations and look around the room and make a lot of like, maybe too many descriptions of what I'm trying to say when really, and I don't know, I think sometimes in content that can be really good because people don't register every time. So you do have to repeat yourself, and we'll talk about live video stuff in a minute. But I certainly feel like in relationships, it's beneficial to be as concise as possible, it's a work in progress, right? Everybody is a work in progress in that area.
Yeah, I think you're right when it does come to video. And this is also yogic teaching, but the subconscious mind is reprogrammed through repetition. So as a business owner and as someone who's sharing your message, it doesn't hurt to repeat yourself over and over and over again. So I think that there are times, especially with video or anything that you're doing in the online space, where continuing to say the thing isn't a bad thing.
But I think there's a difference between, powerfully repeating the thing so it gets into someone's subconscious versus like fluff.
True.
And I can definitely see, even in this conversation, how you say things really clearly. And I'm like, saying all types of stuff and hesitating and trying to think of words and coming back and starting again. And I think that's really cool. Like, what a great opportunity to see to see two different styles of communication. And it's amazing. I've been thinking about this recently and how to be more concise. So you've touched on this already. As in that saying like this is a defense mechanism, and using padding your conversation. Is there any tips you want to give to help people / me to do a better job in that area?
Well, when it comes to video, you might already do this, but I always have notes. I always have bullet points because, to be honest, I can be in the clouds. I could be flying sky high right now if I didn't have a direction. So what helps me is to know what I'm going to be saying.
Definitely.
And to go a little slower, because I could be like this. But at the same time, I love that we're having this conversation right now, because I think the most impactful thing any of us can do on video is be ourselves. Be the most authentic version of ourselves, even if that means we are rambling on our words a little bit, or we mess up, or our hair doesn't look perfect, or the dogs or the cats are in the background. I think that's what humanizes these experiences. And I don't know about you, but all of us are craving real communication, real connection these days. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, you're right. I agree that we should all be ourselves, our authentic selves, as much as we can. That's a big part of what I teach. And I think there are definitely some tips, like, for example, having notes or bullet points is something I always use. And that can take the authentic you, it can just improve the experience of your listeners. It takes the authentic you to the next level. Because, yeah, we should all be ourselves, but sometimes ourselves are a bit of a mess and need some help right? We need some bullet points to keep us on track. And when I do videos that are, 5 ways to get more views on your Facebook videos or whatever the video is, I'll forget what's the next point or what I was going to say about that point. So usually I'll do the 5 and then I'll put 3 things that I wanted to say for each thing. And it's like a keyword or something like that. But it reminds me to get back on track and keep going.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah. So let's talk about live videos for a bit, because I know that's your whole rock the mic thing. Well, is it just video, or what else do you do? Audio stuff or?
Yeah, it's video. Part of it will also be helping people create interview series, start podcasts, but really in this initial phase, it is just live video, because I've reached out to so many entrepreneurs who are either dead scared, have never tried it, or have already been getting clients, but want to create a faster sales process, right? So they don't want to do sales calls, or they want to just sell off a link. And we know that video is the number one way to connect authentically with your audience. It's the number one way to deliver your message, your call to actions, what you offer, and they get to know you. They like you, and people buy from people.
So let's talk some more technical stuff. You said faster sales process. Now, a lot of times if someone's got a business that their coaching offer is $3,000 or something like that, it's a little bit harder, and the sales cycle is longer than it is for somebody who's selling a $27 product. I mean, we haven't all, but most people who have a $27 product have had people buy it while they were doing a video or something like that, which is always exciting. But let's talk about for higher ticket, like how has that worked in your experience?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question and a really good differentiator. And I think the quicker in the sales process happens when the people have been floating around the community for a little while. I believe in Facebook groups. I know that we met in a group, so I'm assuming that you also believe in the power. I have my own groups, and it is one of the best ways to bring people in. So if you have those fence sitters, those lurkers who have been interested in anything that you offer and your programs and your coaching services. I mostly work with coaches and healers, and they've been looping, and you get them to come to your videos. They're on your live videos, and you are teaching them, because of course we know in video, we are going to be selling them exactly what they want. We're going to be using a captivating title. We're going to be delivering the message exactly the way that they want to hear it. And if they're on that live video with you, like real time, in live time, there has never been a hotter lead, ever. They're literally there with you. And then we go for sorry, go.
No, you go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
We go for the invitation of, this is the next step. This is how you can take your business to the next level. This is how you can increase your sales online. This is it. Want to join? Here's the link. They already know you. So it's not like they've just come across your website. They're reading your copy. They already know you. They feel like they know you. And for me, and in my experience, that's what translates to a buying decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one time I was doing a live. I used to do, and I still do, really random lives. I'll just test different things. I'm always testing. And my live title was, Ask Me Anything About, the topic was, While I Eat Chips. And so I had to finish this bag of chips, and I was just eating and talking. That was the whole thing. And I had prepared all these questions in case no one asked me anything. It was like, what do you think about whales? And then I was asked, I was just talking about whales. It was the weirdest live. But this woman messaged me after and was like, hey, I just bought a ticket to your event or whatever, because I was on the fence, but just watching you be yourself, and it was really funny, and I just I knew I wanted to come. And I was like, yes, that's amazing, because I was just doing my own thing on the live. It's kind of a weird experience, just reminded me of it.
I love that. And it reminds me of the same experience I had. And what I love about video is it doesn't even actually have to be about what you're selling, right? And that's exactly your example. And my example was I was doing a women's circle or some kind of community gathering where we were all just hanging out, journaling, probably chanting. If you're in my life, you're probably chanting with me, meditating. And afterwards she's like, Bridget, I'm ready. I'm like, for what? And she's like, oh, the 3-month program. Like, I'm ready to do Soulful Essence. And I was like, we didn't talk about it, and I think that's the coolest thing. It can bring people from, it sounds cool, to, I'm about to invest with you because I trust you. I trust you.
Yeah, you mentioned something earlier, like after people have been following you for a little bit and then they watch your video and they're already warm. This is a podcast about content, and it's so important to, people always say, like, what's the big deal with putting out content all the time? Well, the deal is that you're warming people up so that they stay around you. It doesn't matter if it's a meme or a tweet, or they're watching your YouTube videos, or they're just liking your Facebook posts, liking your brunch pictures. Like, all that stuff is content. It's all your brand. And then when people are ready, you hit them with that live video, or another video, but live is pretty good for building trust. You said about your audience, your target audience being ready and you speaking right to them. Can you say a little bit more about how you would communicate directly to that audience?
Yeah. Well, I love polls. I love market research, and I really love Facebook for this. This is really where I spend most of my time these days. I poll the audience all the time. I say, what do you want to learn more about? Here are 5 things. Okay. And then I take one of those things and I say, how to create a live video series that makes your community drool. You're basically just, because we want to speak in the exact language of our client. One mistake I made early on was, I'm very spiritual. So I was speaking in quantum physics. I was speaking in the clouds and these quantum realms. And the people that I actually wanted to work with weren't there. We were speaking different languages. And if you're speaking a different language, you're going to feel the disconnect because they're not buying. They don't want, if they're not there, they don't feel invited. But when you're speaking their language, they're like, oh, she gets me. So that's a great tip. And also, I love Facebook groups. So I always have questions before they enter the group. How do you want to feel on live video? Why would live video help your business? And then I have a little document, and then I create content just from that. Like, you can just really work backwards, make it so much easier for yourself.
That is, yeah, definitely makes it a lot easier. What do you think, just really quick, riff on like what the benefit is of live video for people? Like, really, what's the cost of them not doing it? And what are the benefits you get from it?
Cost of them not doing it. They're not visible. They're not showing their face. People can't hear them. People don't know them. Reasons that they'd want to: quicker sales process. People know you. People trust you. People enjoy your personality. People are learning something from you. And if you are using video for your business, you are delivering exactly what your client needs. It's a match made in heaven. And it gets to be so much fun. So much fun. Like, even doing this is so much fun. People should do more of this for their business. People should speak, because when you speak, it strikes a chord on the actual frequency, sound, vibration level. It strikes a chord within the person listening, and they can feel it within them.
Yeah.
Just start, everyone.
Just start. And do you have to do it every day? Do you feel like, how often do people need to show up to do these things?
I don't feel like it needs to be every day, but if you want to challenge yourself, I would definitely recommend doing a video a day. I have a challenge coming up on Monday, and I'm not sure when this will go out, but we're doing a video a day for 7 days. I've heard of people who've done a video a day for 100 days. You will get over all of your fears. You will master your messaging, because you're going to know exactly what's going to land. You're going to practice, you're going to try. You might fail, which is really just an experience of learning. So it really depends on where you're at and what kind of results you want to see.
This episode's probably going to come out in the new year.
All good.
Yeah. But I'm sure you'll do a ton of different challenges and video challenges and things. So, where do you want to send people listening to this episode? I feel like maybe your Facebook group or...
Yeah, that would be great. I just had an accent there. You can come to Rock the Mic Online. That is the Facebook community. And I'm not as active on Instagram, but if you want to see me riff on all the IG stories all the time, you can find me at Blissful Bridget.
Awesome. Okay, we are going to put that link somewhere around this video. And we're going to chop this video up too, which is pretty cool. That's what we do at Power Creators. We chop up content into little bits and pieces. If you're listening to this and you want your content chopped up into pieces, it sounds more violent than it is. We chop up videos, audios, we do all types of written stuff. And you can find us at powercreativemedia.com. Bridget, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.